everything. People, today is Monday again. The week just keep rolling on and on. Time and time waits for no one. But I just wait on my fans. Yeah, I have plenty fans now, you know. Well, yeah. Just not gonna be air condition, not a fan. So we start the thing right. Hi Roxanne, hi there, look me. I missed you a couple of days in Roxanne. Hi Margaret, hi Gloria, hi Anne Marie, hi Cheryl, and all those who will look on as we continue. So let me start one time. I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I'll honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, my elders, and those in authority. I'll be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds, and I'll strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Miss Angela. Hi to everybody. Love you all dearly. This one's the other. Real love we talking. We ain't talking no love for convenience and where you could get here. We're talking real love. Real love. So remember our javelin star, Kishan Walcott. Hi, Owen. I see that. You miss me, Roxanne? Yes, I miss you too, darling. I just miss only when I see my regulars. So this was June 12th. Always a little while ago. It's so worthy of reading. Hi, Dandy. So this was in the Trinidad Express. It says Trinidad and Tobago Kishan Walcott grabbed silver at the men's javelin at the Motonet Grand Prix in Lahti, Finland on Wednesday. Walcott threw 78.98 meters for second spot in the event behind Kenya's Julia Sigo. The 2015 world champion landing the spear at 82.95 meters to claim gold. Finland's Taneli Jutinen was third at 78.24. Walcott produced the 79.98 effort in round one and followed up with 79.53 after fouling his next three throws. The 2012 Olympic champion passed in the sixth and final rounds. So the team meet was Walcott's second outing this season. He was impressive with his 2025 opener at the May 16 Wanda Diamond League meet in Doha, Qatar. The 32-year-old Toka athlete finishing fourth with an 84.65 meter throw. People, we always have to remember Kishan Walcott because before Kishan Walcott, we wasn't watching. No, let me not play it so. We didn't know nobody from the Caribbean who was throwing no javelin. We didn't know nothing about that sports. We know about running and the swimming and that's it. Running and swimming. Yeah, that is the things that we were involved in. And then bam, Kishan Walcott come and win the goal, and that just set a standard. Then Grenada came after and win the goal. So javelin is a thing. So we have to thank Kishan Walcott for introducing that into the Caribbean and making others who love the sport say that, hey, I too could become an Olympic champion. So we have to remember that. Yesterday was Father's Day. Hi, Angela. Hi, Philo. Yesterday was Father's Day, so hi Malcolm. I want to wish all the fathers of Labora Ting, not sperm donors, all the fathers who have been doing it and doing it right for their children and their family. And there are some mothers, but it doesn't like us to say that because it's Father's Day. Because when it's Mother's Day, we just give mothers this and that. So let me leave out that part. We go talk that. So to all the fathers who've been out there doing their work, doing it well for their children and their family, hats off to you guys. Yeah? So from Labora Ting and all the women, we want to wish all the men of Labora Ting and all the men of Trinidad and Tobago who have been doing it right for their children and their family, much happiness. Yeah? So with that, now I saw this story and it was in keeping. It's in keeping with Father's Day. So I saw it in CNC3 news, a news item is in the Guardian. Hi, Anne-Marie. So it says here that, let me show you the family. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. Right? Remember the daddy. Yeah. Mommy too, of course, but this is about daddy. So it says that dad joins the TTPS to be role model for his sons. And this was 19 hours ago, as I said in the Guardian. Standing in the auditorium of his son's school, surrounded by chattering youngsters, Colonel James was taken aback when the older of his two sons told him, "I want to be just like you, Daddy." They were words of encouragement for the 36-year-old Sandy Grande resident who had long considered himself a jack of all trade and master of nothing in particular. Next month, the father of two, who is currently undergoing training at a police training academy in St. James, will be amongst the latest batch of recruits due to pass out. He said his quest to be a positive role model for his sons is what led him to seek entry into the TNT police service. James was never academically inclined and left Sandy Grande Junior Secondary School without any passes. However, he was able to get work easily, whether it was electrical, tiling, cooking, or decorating. He launched a food business during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was his main source of income until 1 year ago. My son had a career there at school, and he was very indecisive as to what he wanted to be, James said. I told him, "You don't want to be a police?" I told him, "You don't want to be a police?" And he said, "No, I don't want to be no police because I want to be like you, how you just cook and decorate." When he tried to encourage his son to consider a career as a policeman, the youngster stunned him when he said, "How come if you could be all them things in the police service, why are you not in the police service?" He tried to explain that he did not have the requisite academic qualification, but was floored by his son's next question. "But I go into school, so why don't you go back to school and become a police?" Motivated by the innocence and simplicity of his son's comment, James returned to school at age 33. He attained passes in English, Principle of Business, Human and Social Biology, Social Studies, and EDP, and that is Electronic Document Preparation and Management, and began to look out for the next call for police recruits. Things were moving very slowly, and by the time I turned 35, which is the deadline, I felt that it was just the universe had a plan. I felt that was it, but the universe had a plan for me, James recalled. 2 days after I turned 36, it was supposed to be a Wednesday. I was going into Port of Spain to do some business on the Monday, and I got a call from the police academy. I had already done a few things, but still had to do the physical and the psychometric test. He thought it would have been impossible to get all done in 2 days before his birthday. Once I turned 36, that would have been it, he said. James completed the interview and signed his contract with hours to go before the clock struck midnight on his birthday, October the 17th, 2024. My kids were extremely proud of me. They couldn't really understand me getting my subjects, but being drafted into the police service. That was a huge thing for them, he said. They are now boasting that their dad is a police and he could cook, he added. James was now eagerly looking forward to getting into a uniform and being assigned to a station so he can begin to make a real impact. My goal now is to be the best officer I can be, he said. His other goal is to reach the highest position in the TTPS, Commissioner of Police. I'm going to challenge myself, he declared. James, who said he had to overcome the fear of failure and disappointing his loved ones to get where he is today, credited his mother, Phyllis James, and fiancée, Mariah, for encouraging him and supporting him. His advice to others who want to turn their lives around is believe in yourself. Your outcome isn't determined by how you start. Don't count yourself out. It is never too late to turn over a new leaf and enjoy a fresh start. So we here at Let Me Talk the Ting want to congratulate Officer James, Colonel James, and also to his beautiful sons who would have motivated him to turn his life around. We wish him all the best, and we wish that he become one of the best police officers, and we could revisit this story probably next 5-10 years to see where he's at. And his sons are already on the right path because they motivated him to go back to school, get his subjects. Now he has been able to fulfill that dream of his son telling him, if the police so good, why you ain't going to join the police? You tell them we about the police, right? So that basically is. So we want to say congratulations to him and his beautiful family. And again, from Let Me Talk the Ting to Officer Colonel James from Sandy Grande, all the best to you, darling, and your beautiful family. And make sure you take good care of those little ones. So that was a moment. So July the 9th, June 19th, yeah, it's June 19th is Labor Day. Boy, a shame. I think it's June 19th, yeah. Well, let time end Labor Day is June 19th. Hi Patricia, hi Ophelia, hi Kima, hi Joyce. One other pull it up for me. It's June 19th Labor Day, it's June 19th, man, yeah. It's June 19th. A good while now, me and go and walk in that. So in commemoration of that, I want to read something about one of my heroes in the labor movement. Women are not celebrated. Yeah, yes, Sadie, thank you. Women are not celebrated in any real way in the labor movement, although they were there standing shoulder to shoulder with the men in the labor movement, but because the labor movement, quote unquote, is male dominated, women get tossed, that is my opinion, tossed aside. And I read there's a report out by the Chamber of Commerce, I think it is, an industry, on Westmoreland, yeah, where they're saying that they did some research for the violence in the workplace policy, something to that effect. And it says in it, in fact, one of the first paragraphs in that document, that 1 out of 3 women in the labor movement have faced abuse. That's how bad it is. But the men don't talk about that. You ain't going to hear Roger talking about that, or Anissa talking about that. You won't hear the Minister of Labor, Leroy Batiste was just the president of PSA. You ain't going to hear them talking about that. You ain't going to hear Elder, who now is a minister inside the UNC government. You ain't going to hear he talking about that because he was a labor leader in communication. You ain't going to hear the next one, Kizar, I think from OWT. You ain't going to hear MSG 132. You ain't going to hear them talking about the abuse of women in the labor movement. You ain't going to hear them thing at all. So, Elma Francois, national heroine. This was written a while back on November 2020. It says, in commemoration of African History Month, it was at that time, November in Trinidad and Tobago, the person who wrote this, he said, I wish to honor the great African woman, Elma Francois, who was born in Overland, St. Vincent on October the 14th, 1897. A number of persons, including Arthur Calder Marshall, Professor Rhoda Ruddock, beautiful, quiet lady, I met her. I had the pleasure of meeting her and took a picture with her. That is Professor Rhoda Ruddock. Corey Gills, Jerry Besson, and Dara Healy have written about her. That is Alma François is speaking about. I attended a local play based on her life called The Fire Within. Her name lives in the Alma François Institute at the Cipriani College of Labor. Despite being designated a national heroine of Trinidad and Tobago in 1987, she is still not well or very well known in Trinidad and Tobago. There should be a monument to her, but Trinidad and Tobago seem adverse to monuments to women. When she left school after 5th standard, François managed to find work at a sugar factory. Her passion for social justice led to her dismissal for trying to organize the other workers into a trade union. That was in St. Vincent. Elma moved to Kingston, the capital of St. Vincent, where her son Conrad was born. In 1990, the young stalwart left her 2-year-old child with relatives and migrated to Trinidad. She worked as a maid at the Stonemeyer's Castle around the Savannah and joined Captain A.A. Cipriani's Trinidad Workmen's Association. François educated herself by reading widely and soon began to give public speeches about labor and political matters. The year 1990 was the year of the waterfront strike, the first general strike in Trinidad and Tobago. Anti-colonial sentiments has been building in TNT for many years. The strikers were angered by local conditions and were inspired by the TWA, that is the Trinidad Workmen's Association, which comprised many demolished soldiers who had returned from World War I, bitter with the experiences they had overseas. Marcus Garvey movement and socialism were also part of their ideological persuasion. By 1934, she, together with her husband, Jim Barrett, Christina King, and others, formed the National Unemployment Movement to coordinate hunger marches to draw attention to the harsh conditions amongst Africans and Indian workers. Later, the group was transformed into the Socialist Negro Welfare Social and Cultural Association, the NWSCA, which also had Indians and Chinese members. It was called a social and welfare organization in order to attract women. The NWSCA, among a myriad of activities, organized the unemployed, lobbied for small traders, celebrated Emancipation Day, and started a newsletter called the New Emancipator, which gave pride of place to the Black working class. In 1935, when the Italian dictator Mussolini invaded Ethiopia, the NWSCA held a mass meeting in October and mobilized dock workers to boycott Italian ships. Jerry Besson reported that the rally generated support from other levels in the society. When Tuba Uriah Buzz Butler called the 1937 strike in Faizabad, Elma François went to South Trinidad. Within a short time, the NWSCA had instigated the first strike in Port of Spain. The colonial authorities arrested François and members of the NWSCA and charged them with sedition. It was the first time in Trinidad and Tobago's history that a woman was charged under this law. The sedition trial took place between October 1937 and February 1938. Elma François successfully defended herself without a lawyer. Professor Ruddock recorded a moment in the trial when prosecutor C.T.W.E. Worrell asked François why she persisted in making speeches which were causing disaffection amongst His Majesty's subjects. Elma François replied, "I don't know that my speeches create disaffection. I know that my speeches create a fire in the minds of the people so as to change the conditions which now exist. And it isn't for me here to tell you what is existing, because I believe that you are a son of some working class family, despite your lofty position as you stand before me as a prosecutor. James Barrett, however, was jailed for 9 months. She later went on with others to form a number of trade unions in Port of Spain, including SWWTU, which is Seamen and Waterfront Workers Trade Union, and the Federated Workers Trade Union, which is the NUGFW Trade Union. Elmer Francois died broken-hearted in 1944, shortly after her son Conrad joined the British colonial army to fight in World War II. As a socialist, she had been opposed to the war. And this was written by Ayegoro Ome. So that's just a little history about Elmer Francois as we move up to Labor Day, June the 19th. So let me continue. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Keith. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Ro. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Julian. So, you know, the conversation was just recently about money. And I'm seeing where the government is requesting that the Auditor General go into the central bank and audit. And we heard the central bank governor said, she is who refused to come into the bank and audit. I'm hearing people say, oh, and they have also, you remember there were going to be some new $100 notes with the steel pan on it as a part of our new coat of arms. And here this government put a hole on it. I'm also seeing that this government is not using the coat of arms with the steel pan. They continue to use the 3 ships because I know some of them did vex when the steel pan became the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm saying it is so low, there's an opinion I'm giving it is so low class and low down that something like that, even that, they're stopping. And then I'm hearing a conversation, some people saying, just wait a minute, you might see the old dollar bills come back out. That is what I'm hearing some people say. So we will see. So this is the 16th of the 6 months, 2025 in the Guardian. 20 hours ago, it said effective revenue collection system needed. The onus is, what is this? The onus is now on Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Desesa, her Minister of Finance, Ravindranath Thakur, and the entire cabinet to do what they claim is required to achieve a more efficient and effective tax system to collect a reported 10 billion deficit in tax revenue. Every government has the option and mandate to change policies and programs of the previous administration in a manner proclaimed in its election campaigning to be superior. The repeal of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, TTR legislation, was an easy campaign promise to make and fulfill. What is now demanded, United National Congress and its coalition of interests, with a majority earned, is to achieve the objectives put forward to the nation. The establishment of a transformed taxation system, inclusive of income tax, and various forms of corporation taxes, and doing so while ensuring the system is not regressive, meaning the burden of taxation does not fall on salaried workers and those in the low and middle income brackets, must be the objective. Moreover, it must be done with expediency and effectiveness. I want to just pause a minute. Because under the last regime, PNM regime, they raised the personal income tax So if you're working every month and you're working for less than $7,500, you didn't have to pay any taxes. And if at the end of the year you have your income is less than 90,000, I think it was, then you didn't have to pay any taxes. So I don't see how people were saying that the last government was taxing people to death and all that, because they raised it from where it was 6,000 and something to about 7,500. Once you make less than that every month, you pay no taxes at all. So that is the real disposable income that you were getting in your hand. But who am I? I'm neither an economist or Minister of Finance. As argued by Prime Minister Persaud Bissessar, the TTR established by Dr. Keith Rowley administration gives too much power to the Minister of Finance. The contention of all is that the current system in place over the last 60 plus years allows for massive leakage of potential and real revenue and has created opportunities for the wealth of income earners, including corporations, to be hidden away outside the reach of the Board of Inland Revenue, that BIR, and in foreign exchange. It therefore cannot be that Persaud Bissessar government rejects a system that was set to provide the administration with badly needed revenue to meet societal needs, but does nothing to capture lost revenue. Moreover, whatever the revised system turns out to be, it cannot allow for revenue to continue to leak out over months and years into the future. Further, the changes to be made must of necessity retain the levels of increased progressivity and should ensure that all who should pay to do so at the rate at which they assemble large profits. Local and foreign corporations that are undertaxed or have been successful in paying lower taxes or lower rates prevent large quantities of revenue earned with local resources from rightfully occurring to the benefits of citizens. Trinidad and Tobago cannot be put through a process of change from one system to another for only the political benefit of one party to another. There must also be rewards to the citizens. Further, if according to the Prime Minister, the need is for simple adjustments required in the present BIR system, the country expects that the transformation, inclusive of the capture of the reported outstanding 10 billion, is achieved in a short term and short to medium term. Stated assuredly, there must be beneficial results from the repeal of the TTR if the government is to truly achieve its stated campaign promise. As former Prime Minister Basil Pande used to say, performance beats old talk any day. And I want to tell the person who write that, don't look out for nothing, because it's the same government, same Prime Minister, when she was Minister of Education, removed corporal punishment from school, and then thereafter, every child, whether you pass common entrance or not, or essay or not, you went into a school. Didn't replace corporal punishment with anything, didn't have anything in place now for those children who were leaving primary school and couldn't read and write properly or nothing at all. So they don't have a history of fixing anything. They have a history of being a populist government. They have a history of pleasing people. And with that pleasing people, people feel they get something when they actually get nothing. My opinion. So I'm saying now that the Minister of Finance, I would like to know how the country will be. Again, everybody want to know that. Everybody want to know that. But we'll see. I'm seeing here now. And again, I watch a little piece of Parliament. I will come to that just now. Let me just write my note. "20 hours ago in The Guardian, further funding for 2025 budget being sought in Parliament today. Finance Minister Dave Tanku said the increased allocation to the 2025 budget will be examined in Parliament today. Is necessary because of previous government under budgeting. I have to take a breath for this one because I want to ask the Minister of Finance, if the country has depleted energy revenues, taxes wasn't being collected properly, hence the TTR Act and the property tax being introduced, coming out of COVID-19 and the impact of that, and so many other things coming out of 2015, a recession that was created, in my opinion, by the People's Partnership Prime Minister at the time, Kamala Prasad, and money had to go all around the place, and they are saying that the last government under budget. That is why we were told things will be a little tough. The same conditions exist. No collection of taxes. Oil revenue has not, or gas revenue hasn't increased. We still have all the bills to pay. And now with this government, we have even more public officers to pay because more ministries and more people. And on top of that now, you're going to increase the budget even more. And as somebody rightly asked, where we get send the money from? But all people must be interested in the increase in the budget so more people could get work, more programs could come in place and all that. Where they getting the money from when the budget has been run as a deficit budget for a while? Where they getting more money from? Me, in my opinion, I seen a devaluation of the dollar, me seeing going to IMF. Just for years, I was telling people, the PSA, while we all agree that the 4% was grossly inadequate, but when you look at the numbers and the data, because you have to go with data before the CPO, no union was able to show the government cannot pay more than 4%. Not only that, those unions and them sit down on their laurels and let 6 years pass, 2 negotiating periods pass without having anything settled, and we ended up in that situation. When I'm telling people, take the 4%, because the government had assured when you go back to the CPO, they will consolidate. There will be a consolidation of coal. I think that is what it was, because this time they was not for the 4%. They wasn't doing that. But they said the next time they come back, they will treat that matter. People cuss me. They cuss me. They insult me. They say it's a PNM. I never said I was not PNM, but I'm a PNM, and I'm talking to the government. The government never paid me to talk for them, right? And whatever. And today, we're in a situation that public officers still on 2013 salaries. We didn't get 4%, we didn't get the 5% that was offered for the period 2020 to 23. We get nothing. And Felicia Thomas now, who encouraged public officers, vote for the UNC because they're going to start negotiation at 10%. All of them backpedaling now. They're talking about the economy and after the budget and after the budget and all that. So the point I'm making is this. Same thing I'm saying now, and people go cuss me. I see the UNC going to the IMF soon. So let me continue. The Standing Finance Committee will meet this afternoon, so they're actually meeting now. And let me tell you something, it's not going to get better, the presentation by the opposition, it's not going to get better. The Minister of Homeland Security, I don't mean to embarrass the man or anything, but it's not going to get better. He's not answering any questions. Direct questions were asked by Dr. Ryan Gaspy, by Hans Levine, Member of Parliament for Diego Martin, South or West, one of the areas down there. And the Speaker of the House, all who didn't go and vote because of the vexed PNM and all the kind of thing, or they get a good House Speaker. It's just the worst. And I'm not seeing it getting better. That's the sad thing. I'm not seeing it getting better. It's going to get worse. So let me continue. So the Standing Finance Committee will meet this afternoon. I said right now they're meeting to examine additional funding for ministries and divisions up to the end of 2025 fiscal year in September. The 2026 budget will be presented after that, has to be placed has to be in place by the end of October. Last Saturday, sources hinted that additional funding being sought today is likely to be approximately just over $3 billion for about 28 key ministries and divisions, including the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In a release last Tuesday, following PNM's claim of job losses at regional health authorities, the Health Ministry stated that prudent oversight is especially important in light of the RHA's collective request for approximately $400 million in additional funding to address aged payables submitted for the mid-year budget review. Tanko did not give any figures or provide details, saying he didn't wish to preempt today's meeting. The SFC meeting is to go through the increased allocation and to answer opposition questions about details if requested. It will be reserved unless provoked. Remember, this is to address their under-budgeting for 2025, he said. Tanku said Wednesday's debate of the funding matter in the mid-year review of the budget will be more fire. The 2025 budget presented last October by former Finance Minister Colin Emberg allocated top dollar to education, health, national security, and public utilities, amongst others. It was pegged an oil price of US $77.80 and gas price at $3.59 per MMBTU. A deficit of $5.6 billion was projected. On entering office, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad said the deficit might now be around $11 billion and detailed ways administration would handle it. In the SFC, that is the committee today, the Standing Finance Committee, meeting before the mid-year review in 2022, 23, and 24, Emberg had sought additional $3.1 billion, $3.58 billion, and $2.3 billion, respectively, to supplement funds for various divisions. Tanku, then opposition finance spokesman, had criticized Emberg's planning. Wednesday's review will summarize TNT's position following the presentation of the 2025 budget last October, and apart from the additional funding, will give the government's plan to go forward. It's important to read to the end. Yeah? Tangu said the fiscal and financial incompetence of the so-called diabolical duo, Com Emberg and Brian Manning, has placed TNT under severe distress and debt. People must never forget or forgive the PNM for the country's destruction, but all isn't lost. The UNC has already demonstrated willingness and ability, and it's definitely up to the challenge. We will fix it. We have a plan with which we are working. TNT is in safe, clean hands of the UNC team led by PM Prasad Sessa. He declined details of the government's plan of the new measures on Wednesday's review. Last Saturday, some trade unions officials said they were awaiting the review, which arrives ahead of Thursday's Labor Day celebration, to see what's forthcoming with public servants' payment and other labor issues. They acknowledged that the UNC kept its campaign promise to remove the TNT Revenue Authority. A bill to repeal the TTR Act was passed in Parliament last Friday. So two things. I don't see with the excitement that the Kamala Prasad government would have kept its promise with removing the TTR. That was a bill to just pull back. That was very, very easy. That wasn't hard to do. And they can afford to do that, to appease the unions. When it comes to that 10%, in that 10% starting negotiating percentage, let's see how that goes. And for the Tanku to talking about the wicked duo and they have, that is Manning and Emberg, have the country like this. Dave Tanku didn't hear about 2015 when, after he Prime Minister, had the highest oil prices ever in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Oil prices went about 140 something dollars a barrel. After having that in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. the central governor, the governor of the central bank, Jawala Rambaran, who was the least senior, most junior person they picked as the governor of the central bank, when he came and said that by the time the election, coming out the election was September, saying that the country has been in recession since, because 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Where was Tanku with that? Where was Tanku when had COVID-19, when the whole world economy was shut down, and this government kept all gazetted public officers on the workplace, on the pay sheet, and the only public officers who were going out to work was emergency workers, that included doctors, nurses, and all those in hospitals, the protective services, and of course some people in the ministries who would have to do up the pay sheets and all that. And almost 2 years, teachers were home, everybody getting a salary every month. Nobody that gets sent home. Tanku wasn't there for that. He didn't know about that. So I don't understand how the PNM government would have done something, created this situation that is so bad and so evil. What are they doing? Or they stop all taxes. Minister of Finance Tanku only stop all collection of taxes. And we have oil price and gas price high. So again, he's struggling with the energy and the gas sector. Or let's say the dragon dead, or they have time with that, or they can negotiate, not even to get a sweetie. So who will have, by probably the end of the year, say the economy in a bad place? Tell them, I will keep saying it over and over because I want to ask all if all they're happy now. Now that I tell all they should and do all they do, then go and do all they do. Let's up in all the emotion. I know that emotion in there today. Or they say no one saying shoulda, coulda, woulda. That ain't what help we. Let me continue. So that is where we at. I'm also seeing, hi Mary, hi Jenny, hi Ms. Velma. I'm seeing here where the CJ is saying, no, before I go to the CJ, so there was a celebration of bishops, let me get it here. Bishops Tobago, Bishop High School Tobago, where a lot of the academics and intellectuals from Tobago, like all of them went there. So they had the celebrations, and during that time, let me get the whole story. If I say the whole story, which I may not have. So then, let me just, right. So attending that function was Dr. Christopher Rowley, and the moderator was Ms. Uma Machuro. And she have asked Fanny Chavez Augustine what he admired about Dr. Christopher Rowley, and Dr. Christopher Rowley what he admired about Fanny Chavez Augustine, because we all know they have a contentious type of political relationship. Dr. Rowley was Prime Minister, and the behavior of Fanny Chavez Augustine. So this is what was said, right? So former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Tobago's House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fanny Augustine praised each other on Saturday when they took part but thoughtful segment of the event about each other. Despite their politically strained past, both took the opportunity to speak with respect. school and community life were deeply structured, and that foundations taught him self-discipline. The way the school was organized put some things in place that demanded a certain standard for you, he said. Berkeley said dealing with conflict is inevitable in leadership. It warned, but warned that modern society, anger now often replaces efforts at resolution. Conflict is basic to life. What we would like to encourage is that we got to find a way to deal with anger, he said. Both men argue that values such as accountability, empathy, and disciplines are missing in today's society and must be taught again, starting with the family and the school system. C.J. Archie said true justice must be rooted in compassion, restoration, and moral codes, many of which he believes are found in scripture. He said religion and law remain inextricably linked. Both men agreed that their work shares a common foundation. Where do we get our sense of justice from? It really is, even without any sense of any particular religion or so. It's those codes which in our construct we find in the Bible. Sometimes when you read the stories, you may be tempted to think that our notion of justice, at least in modern times, is less harsh. But justice involves elements of compensation. It involves elements of compassion. It involves elements of restoration. And we can find all of those things in the Bible, C.J. Archie said. Right? So big things are going on in Tobago. And again, Tobago has given Trinidad and Tobago a lot of our academics in public life, whether in law, whether in music, whether in dance, whether in sports, politics, and the list goes on and on as educators. So they have done well. So let me continue. They're saying here that Dr. Rowley is returning to his first love, and that is one country. What it is just now? So former Prime Minister returns to his first love 20 hours ago, Guardian, and I will just read. It's a very short story. It's not long at all. Former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says his retirement from public office marks a return to his first love, volcano research. Next month, he will be back in the field. Dr. Rowley, who spoke at a Men in Leadership Forum at Bishop High School, Tobago on Saturday night, was asked by Chief Secretary Fali Shabas Augustine about his plans now that he has stepped away from politics. The former Prime Minister, who led TNT for nearly a decade, said he was going back to what he misses most. Now that I have retired from politics, the very first thing I want to do is to get back into volcanoes. As a result of that, I've agreed next month I'm going to Montserrat, where we celebrate a conference of 30 years of the volcano that destroyed Montserrat, he said. I'm diving straight back into that, not as a job, but as an intellectual stimulation. Before he entered politics, Dr. Rowley, a geologist, was head of the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center. At the forum, he spoke about his early career in volcanology and what drew him into the field. I had the opportunity on more than one occasion to stand between populations that were threatened and volcanoes that were virtually a super whatever. And I felt that is the greatest sacrifice that I could have made, he said. He said his decision to get involved in volcanology was based on the region's vulnerability. Although millions live near volcano centers, the Caribbean once had no one formally trained in the field. Dr. Rowley said his return to science is not about work, it's about staying mentally engaged in something that still excites him. While he has not ruled out providing advice as a former leader, he said his involvement in politics going forward would be limited. He planned His planned trip to Montserrat next month will coincide with the 30th anniversary of the Soufriere Hills eruption, which devastated large parts of the island and permanently changed lives for its residents. He did not disclose the specific roles he might play at the conference and said he was eager to return to the field once defined once defined him. Stepping back into volcanology offers the kind of intellectual challenge he seeks, and the region still needs voices with lived experiences in managing natural disasters, Dr. Rowley said. So that's why I say Dr. Rowley will carry on, you know. When come up with our Bissessa, was the next election ever, what she have? She get herself silk. What she have? What case she ever win? What she going back to? So that's why probably them so desperate for power. And Dr. Rowley always said he not in love with office because he knows his passion, where it's at. He loves the politics, but it have other things that he could also do. But once you have to hold on to politics alone, it means you are nothing else. So let me continue. So that is for Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley, thank you again for your service. And happy Father's Day to you and all those who attended that conference for Bishop High School. So let me continue. I want to say this first before I continue with something. I want to say this first. I want to tell people, all peoples, and it talks to me too, because that's why I really just try my best to do what is right. Because I don't know about all you, but you see me? I fear the Most High. I fear the true and living God. Yeah? I don't know about all you. And I'll tell you why. That's what I try always to do as much as possible. To always do things with integrity, in truth, honesty, humility, have empathy. And I'm perfect. Sometimes things could get the better of you and you may say or do things, but it's always where you can reflect and say, hey, what I did was wrong, it wasn't meant at that and that kind of thing, right? I'm saying this to say, I'm trying to look for this, you know. I'm trying to look for this. I need want to get up from here to, because it'll take me about a minute or 2 minutes to get across. Anyhow.
Let's talk about Psalm 130.
Just recently, there was a gentleman. I want to say here to all those who are going through any type of sickness, pain, trauma, we are we talk the thing with hope that you're able to find comfort with your family and in the word of God, the true living God. Yeah? Recently, as of last year and year before and years before that, there was, and that's another thing, people that say, oh, don't mention people when they say because sickness for everybody. I am aware that sickness is for everybody. But me talking about it is not meant to make light of the matter. It's not meant to blame anybody. It's like a testimony why I am mentioning it. Because it make you understand how real the true living God is. How real it is. When you live in a particular way, that there are consequences to action. And it may not be man-made consequences. If you believe in spirituality and truth, you would know that if you do wrong, and you do people wrong intentionally, you do people wrong out of jealousy and hate and greed, there are consequences to those actions. When you do good, there are also consequences to those actions, because every action has a reaction. So I'm speaking from that perspective. I'm not speaking from gloating and all that. No. It's about testimony to show you why me, I don't know about all you, have much respect and fear for the Most High Jah, Rastafari. There's an individual in this country who now is making some videos. I tried to watch one today. I reached about 3 seconds into it, and tears started to well up in my eye. I can't listen to it. I can't listen to it. I saw my brother-in-law die from that disease, and I saw how it brought him, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So I can't really listen, not because I don't want to, but I'm not feeling to relive that experience. I saw my brother-in-law die in front of me and my husband. It's the most horrific thing. So I could not sit and watch that video. And I want to send much love and prayers to the family. I'm not going to call the name, but you already know who I'm talking about. A couple of years ago, or even up until last year probably, that individual was behaving in a particular way. And high and mighty, as though they own the world. And because they have, they could say what they want and treat people how they want. Yeah? Call people all kind of names. Have the programs and drag people. Continue to drag people. Take people to court. Boast about it. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. This is a testimony. Not my testimony, but a testimony to show the power of the true living God. And to that individual, when you listen to what he's going through, what he's experiencing, it will make tears come to anybody's eye, because that is not a nice thing to go through. But the point I'm making is this: just last year and the year before, it was big and bad all over. And today is a different situation. So that's why I tell people, all we're going on wrong, you see all who doing your wickedness, who doing your this, who behaving this way, behaving that way, whatever it is. Fret not thyself. You keep doing the right things. You keep showing up, you keep turning up, you keep doing the right things. And doing the right thing is very hard. Prayer was there, so you have to pray and you have to work towards it. Do what is right. Talk to people in a better way. I ain't saying you can't get people, because people just get people vex, always conflict. But again, find ways to deal with it. Don't be so nasty. Don't be so hateful. Don't be so racist to people. Because the same people, you just don't know how to empathize with what you're going through, because they wouldn't want nobody saying it's good for you, or it's good for he, it's good for Tom, it's good for Mary, it's good for Harry. No, you want nobody saying that, and nobody should say that. That is why we have to be careful with the things we're doing, because no money in the world could help you when in those conditions. No money in the world, no property, no house, no real estate, no car, no business, nothing. All it does want to do is get well. I remember a time I had paid to get small money, you know, because working as a checker URP. And oh God, I can't wait for payday to come. Because I want this, I want to buy this, I get this, I get it. Because I have sinus, so sometimes when I get children, I have fever, headache, my mouth has no taste. I just feel sick. I went and got my salary. I threw it on the bed and I lie down on it and ball, Father, take all this money. All I want to do is to feel better. I watch the money and I don't want it. I just want to feel better. And all the time I call, I want the money to do this, I want the money to do, oh God, I can't think, and the money, and the money. When I get the money, I can't even spend it because the mouth has no taste, nothing I want to eat. I want to just curl up and lie down there, the money, I'm watching the money, it ain't doing nothing for me. And that's years and years and you run down money, run down house, run down car, run down this, you do people all kind of thing, the guy get sick. When you get sick, none of them things matter. Nothing. All you want is to get better. If you could give away your house, your car, your land, everything to get better, you will do it. So I want that to be a warning. That is a warning, take heed. 2025 is not a year to play with. Straighten up all yourself. I'm talking to me too. Straighten up all yourself. Do the right thing. I will continue to pray to be able to do the right thing. If I do something wrong, somebody tell me I apologize because I'm not going from a place of hate for nobody or to hurt nobody. So I start off already. If something is not from a malicious place, or they put all the things in order. 2025 is not a year to play with. Okay. I'm going to continue. Read Psalms 137. It's a little lengthy, but read it. You can read it in parts. Read Psalms 137. So let me continue. So I am still
the bill to repeal the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority (TTR Act) passed in the House of Representatives just after 11:15 Saturday morning. In her contribution, Prime Minister Kamala Persaud-Bissessar said the act, if passed, would have weaponized the laws.
Easy to target opponents. Easy to target trade unions. Easy to target media houses. Easy to target dissident voices.
The bill was passed with 27 votes in favor, including support from Tobago East MP David Thomas. 11 of the 13 People's National Movement MPs voted against the bill. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles and Trin City Maloney MP Camille Robinson Regis were absent to vote. CNC3 reached out to economist Dr. Valmiki Arjun, who says the time is ripe for the BIR to modernize and strengthen the tax administration.
This begins with urgently addressing the persistent understaffing by ramping up recruitment and comprehensive training programs. Chronic staff shortages in the past, that would have left the
a movement where country.
I don't know. The point is, and that is where it boggles my mind when I think about. So they fight down the TTRA. All areas are collecting taxes. People who say it harsh and all that. And the same economists and them coming back now to say, okay, so they gotten rid of the TTRA, but they have to find a way to collect taxes. That's basically what they say. Which way? Which way they're supposed to find? No. to collect the taxes. Whatever issues are with the TTRA, why didn't just work and tweak it and work it out, whatever it is? But again, they were a populist government. They told people in campaigning they're going to get rid of the TTRA. And I would explain that, and other comrades would have explained that ad nauseum. What was the issue with the TTRA? All the union had to do, make sure that all its members who in the BRR and those areas, when they go across under the TTRA, they go across with the terms and conditions not less favorable than they already enjoy in the public service, and that they're able to retain their membership. And PSA able to retain its RMU status. That's all that needed to happen. And the workers in the public service now going under the umbrella. What do we say? It was done in the RHAs. People were told they could go across, but some didn't listen. But a lot of them came across the Ministry of Health into the RHAs and remain with the terms and conditions not less favorable that they enjoy in Ministry of Health. So they went across into RHA and they still retain PSA as a representing union. Some of them have been even paid under Ministry of Health. While the RHA and RHA hired their workers and whatever, that didn't really interfere in the sense of the workers not getting what they're entitled to. And any issues arise, the union come and treat and deal with it for their member. That's all that could have happened. Why they couldn't work with that and tweak it? Instead, they throw away everything to collect taxes, everything. I know economists are telling me, they do that, Now they have to look for ways. What is the ways, economists? They didn't have the ways before they stopped the bill. Well, they should have said, well, now that we stopped the bill, we're going to replace it with this. There's nothing. And we hear the increase in money more for the budget in mid-year, then we have to wait and see what the budget for 2025 is or whatever. Public officers waiting to see negotiations start back at not less than 10% from the start of negotiations, which is unrealistic. And this want more money. All the ministries, the new ministries want more money. They want this. So where are we getting all this money from? But people are high on the juice, the yellow juice, and the code is yellow. That they ain't taking all that because it just a month, it ain't even 2 months yet. So everybody things still going nice and all that. Give it a 6 months and let me revisit this conversation. So the political leader and the opposition leader, People's National Movement, Ms. Penelope Beckers-Robinson, she did not speak. I don't know if she's speaking now in this parliament, but she didn't speak at the opening of the parliament. If you say anything, people say, with that strategy, other people speak and they were good, okay. I guess, well, yeah. Because my member of parliament was on point as usual, strong. We have new member, Dominic Romain from up in Malabar, Mausaka, is it? Yeah. Good, finance is his area, on point. We had Brian Manning, who was on fire. Excuse me, yeah. Excuse me, Comembert, who's a veteran in the dance. Yeah. And although they could not have stopped the UNC from repealing the TTRA, Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, they couldn't stop because they don't have the numbers. But I would have thought that the opposition leader and political leader of the People's National Movement would have wanted her name recorded on the Hansard as having voted with her members of parliament against the bill. She didn't present and she wasn't there to vote. No, people will say, but Camille Robinson-Regis wasn't in either. I hear that. But Mrs. Camille Robinson-Regis is not the opposition leader, nor is she the chief whip, nor is she the political leader. So I'm not taking that argument. Where was the political leader and opposition leader of the People's National Movement? At the opening of the parliament to register her vote with her team as having voted against the TTR. But when they say anything, and they said that showing a sign of not leading with any conviction, that is just like it is. And then they'll put you circling around with her like she was sleeping. No, you don't have to be she's sleeping. She had could be down watching she had. But again, they used to do the same thing to her. Minister Fitzgerald, so nobody can vex. If that means went around and say she was sleeping. And then they say she leave 8 o'clock probably to go home and sleep. You want public life? That will come with public life. I want to tell the Honorable Opposition Leader, it's one thing to want power. It's one thing to fulfill your dreams. But it's another thing to have the ability, the experience, and the competence to whatever, whether it's a car you have, know how to drive it, a new house, how to maintain it, a new job, if you qualify to do it. It's good to want. You see, me, I just go with needs. Wants is things that you could do without. Need. But a lot of people want. They want this office. They need it, you know. They want it because it fulfills in them some type of ego. At a long time, I deserve it. It should be me. He now come and he get it. I do all the time. But when the spotlight on you now, will you be able to shape up, and be ready? That is important. Nobody wanted to speak about that. This new one team, or the one PNM, I don't know, it has several PNM. So if it has one PNM, it must have a 2 PNM and a 3 PNM and a 4 PNM. I know it's PNM. This one PNM that is going about and talking about bring back the love. I told you all already, because I love, you know, but love without trust. So it's okay to get a group, like it's a clique now, and going around and talking about bring back the love and everybody clapping and whatever the case may be. But I want to tell the opposition leader, the decision that she's making, whether consciously or unconsciously, the PNM are losing members. The PNM people is not seeing any growth. Those who love you and those who have the agenda, to them, they must be seeing growth. Or they must be sitting down there very well and saying, oh God, this thing ain't going good, but we have to stay here. The time for them stripping is done. The same way, or they're all over the place and could talk all them things about when throwing talk for Dr. Rowley. And he did this and arrogant and whatever the case may be. And when people say, well, no, he has certain about the cousin because all they find, yes, he used to keep it down, we couldn't talk and all that. Now when you talk about what's happening in this one PNM, the supporters of the one PNM and the opposition leader, political leader, who they love, they have a problem. I want to say this also. It does the one PNM, I don't know what PNM is that, no good by having people on social media verbally attack people who have been standing in the gap unofficially. We weren't asked to do it. When the PRO failed to do their duty, when the social media officer failed to do its duty, when the education officer failed to do their duty, and all the others failed to do their duty. Not the whole executive, because I saw there were members working. And we call it on radio. We didn't have no sobriquet. We were calling on radio, defending the People's National, not the political party, the PNM, but the government, the PNM, by bringing all the things that the government has done in this country. on social media, we're doing that work because we are patriots, knowing and understanding what the PNM means and has always meant to this country. And today, to have people in the one PNM who bring back love, I want to bring back love, insulting us. When they did nothing, 2020, they did nothing of any real work to help the PNM win the 2020 election. Come, tell me if I'm lying or if I'm lying. And today to see them same people, me I'm begging for nobody favor. Me I'm begging for nobody to recognize me. That is not my point. My recognition comes from the Most High. I don't need man to recognize me, but I'm talking about ungratefulness. Because even if we now have a different opinion or perspective, if you, Mrs. Beckles Robinson, is the opposition leader, just like in the days of Mr. Manning, God rest his soul, and Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, it had side here, whatever, but there was a building back. People put aside their differences, and we saw what happened. They won the election in 2015, and we won in 2020. But the rate of they're going. Continue to insult the people because nobody knows all on radio. Because when they're calling for all to come to do interviews, something or they can't come wherever it is. But I can assure you, on the barbershop, you say Jennifer Frederick, you say Neville Chance, you say Mr. Yates, you say Brian. People know who they are. And what are we doing on the radio? Exposing the work and the good work that the PNM has been doing over 2015 to no, that the social media officer wasn't doing, that the PRO wasn't doing. We generated lists of all the works that the PNM done, that was 50-something, 60-something, and lists keep coming after this because other people on social media started finding and give us, and we started doing that. The social media officer wasn't even doing that, the PRO wasn't even doing that. And today, them same people who want to be on the executive and this one PNM and bring back the love have a problem with we saying, or some of us saying, we have some challenges with the opposition leader because some of us don't believe she has the ability to take the party with a 30-man team anywhere close to victory in anything. And we say that not because we dislike her. I'm saying again, I deal with what information and evidence is there. I don't know her personally, so I have to depend on things that I read. And I keep asking all those who support her, give me the information that what she would have done. And I on my show, or when I call into radio, which is hardly now because it's hard to get into Darren Marcel shows, it's hard to get into John and John show and things. But when I do get in, that I'll be able to say, oh wow, the People's National Movement political leader, opposition leader, not no one PNM, but the PNM, not one PNM, but the PNM opposition leader, political leader, has done this, she has done that, she has done this. Up to now, nobody can furnish me with nothing that she has done. And just simply telling me, as if there's some comfort in this climate that we have with the opposition, the government now, where it's a total mess in parliament, that she's a nice lady, she humble, she have humility, she will talk to the people, she's a nice lady, and she did for years, and why not she? And you see, that conversation, that long time talk. So all who have the ambition and holding on to the pants tail of the opposition leader, and they won't say nothing because they're afraid they ain't gonna get, because I tell only the one was calling me a use attack dog. It is alleged she working in the opposition leader's office. It is alleged. So probably she had to show how she could go under the white line to show she loyal, to get she work now and putting up things she don't even respond in her time. So I don't know, that is the new one team PNM. I am not saying that prior to that, under Dr. Rowley, it may not have the, I don't know. But I'm saying now, you wasn't in opposition then, you were in government then. So you can't compare the two. And somebody asked me, if it's only now I writing about PNM has had thing going on all the time, and I had to tell the person. When I was writing and talking about the PNM, it was a government I was talking about. I wasn't talking about the PNM political party. I never know much about no internal workings of the PNM. I was talking about the government. It's the PNM government that I used to talk about, write about, do this. It's them. It was a government. This situation is different. It's a political party, the internal working of the party, which is two different things because it's two different kind of responsibilities. So when I talking now about what's going on in the PNM, it's from the perspective of the internal affairs, and I didn't bring it in the open. Mr. Jennifer Baptiste Primus and Leon bring out matters from the General Council in the open, and from there things start to go downhill. Ms. Baptiste know very well that as the president of PSA, she could not, no member of the General Council could have done what she did without facing disciplinary action. Tell her I say so. No member of the General Council with her sitting as chair of the General Council could have matters discussed and not resolved in the General Council and then go out on the road and make newspaper and all them things. That General Council member would have been disciplined. They would have ended up being suspended because there is a process in how we treat things like that. So that's why I say I do not like Mrs. Baptiste Primus' politics. But as a union leader, much love and much respect for that. I could chew gum, that what I roll, I could chew gum and speak at the same time. So the point I'm making, I would not know nothing about the internal runnings and no PNM. Because my focus wasn't on no internal PNM. My focus was on a government that was in office to make sure we show all the things that the People's National Movement would have been doing, the ministers were doing in their ministries, and things like that. Now it is different. So when nobody tell me I get along as if things now start to go bad, and I didn't know what was happening in no PNM party. Because me no General Council member. No General Council member don't come back and tell me nothing. In fact, me really no General Council member. Me no conference member. Me no nothing about them thing. But now, because those things have been laid bare, as I say, Ms. Baptiste Primus, and they bring it out in the open, and it start to go downhill from there. So the conversations is there. It's no PNM government again. And I continue to do what I've been doing with the UNC. Calling out things for the UNC. What it have with the PNM? Now, don't say nothing happening with the political party that is the PNM. No, I'm not doing that. Because it's not about liking and ain't liking, it's about wanting the best for the party, and we getting the information things are not well. This one PNM. I don't know what is one PNM. And when the opposition leader and political leader do things like this, so this is in one of those Guardian media, and this is what is reported, she said. That is the opposition leader, political leader of the PNM, the Honorable Mrs. Penelope Beckers Robinson. We have lost our way. Opposition leader Penelope Beckers admitted on Saturday night that the People's National Movement has lost its way. She further stated that the party was in opposition because many of its officers, she didn't say ministers and member of parliament. So she's speaking about the executive of the People's National Movement officers. That many of its officers fell down on the job. In a strongly worded address, as she prepares to officially assume the position of political leader, the Rima MP sent a warning to candidates contesting the PNM internal election later this month. We cannot move forward if they continue to operate the way they're operating, she said. Beckers, who spoke at a meeting in the one party, one of the slate contesting the internal polls, expressed concern that some members of the party were attacking people in a way that we have never seen in the People's National Movement. She also said that there was a need for truth and reconciliation within the PNM following the recent election defeat. As painful as it is important for us to realize that as we build a party, we have to unite and we have to use one as a PNM. We have to be one as a PNM, she said. When you learn your lesson and you go through the history of the party for the last 70 years, it is because no matter what happened, no matter if we lost, no matter if candidates didn't win, we found a mechanism to come back together through all the hurt and pain and make sure that we go together as one PNM, she stressed. Beckers highlighted the importance of making the PNM more inclusive, not just for longtime supporters, but for the wider population. She said the party needed to learn more and engage directly with citizens to regain their confidence. On common thread, one common thread is that the leadership became disconnected from the membership. Another common thread is that we were not listening, and the other one was the fact that we saw members of the leadership only around elections. Somewhere along the line, if you will be honest, we have lost our way as it relates to the function of many of the arms of our great party. And those who have offered themselves to serve know that we have to do better, because some of the reasons why we found ourselves in opposition is because many of the officers fell down on the job she added. Beckers, who is unopposed for the position of political leader in the internal election June 22nd, heads one team slate, which also includes Marvin Gonzalez, Chairman, Foster Cummings, General Secretary, Avery Brown, Vice Chair, Faris Alwari, Public Relations Officer. Noting that last year, the PNM would celebrate its 70th anniversary, she said every constituency lies a footprint of former PNM political leader Dr. Eric Williams, George Seamus, Patrick Manning, and Dr. Keith Rowley. And then Foster Cummings, who lost his seat in La Hocata, who is now an opposition senator, he had this to say. Early elections didn't work for PNM. Foster Cummings, who is seeking a position of General Secretary, acknowledged that an early election did not work for the party. He revealed that he was one of those who voted against an early election, general election. 9 of us stood up and said, if you do this, we are going to lose. Can you please not usher the PNM into opposition? There were some others who were not in the 9, said so as well, he said. Cummings, who also called for healing within the party, said it was the first time he had seen the PNM eating each other like how some animals eat others. How did we get here, he asked, as he called for those who identify themselves as change makers to be rebuked. Cummings spoke about some of the challenges he faced during the general election campaign. There was a fellow there who was my campaign manager and chairman of the constituency. He jumped ship and went to the UNC. You know, it has some people in red help him. Do you know that it has some people in red helping? Do you know that some people in red clothes helped the man because they thought to deal with Cummings, he would lose La Hocata and win somewhere else, he said? He said the only authority to select the leadership of the PNM are members who have the right to vote to do so. Some people will not like me for that, and that is okay. I stand for truth. So if you find there is some noise surrounding this personality, at this point in time, a lot of it is coming from persons who should know better. It is because I stand for truth, he declared. Comments also accused the UNC government of quickly moving to shut down all the programs the PNM started for young people, he said. I want to address something in this. And it's based on what they put out. I'm talking about it. That's why I said they put in all stuff and wants nobody to speak on it. So the opposition leader, political leader, the Honorable Mrs. Penelope Beckers-Robinson said the PNM has lost the ways and many of the officers fell down on the job. And many of the officers she talking about on the slate that she has going back up. So I don't understand what she's talking about. That is one. Two, why you needed to have a slate? You're already the political leader. There's nobody to vote for you. Dr. Rowley had a slate or whatever because there were people challenging him for the position of political leader. So it's okay to have a slate in that scenario because he are part of the campaign. But there's no need for you to align yourself to any slate to show that it's your people because you're already political leader. So stay out of it and let the other teams and the other groups or whoever it is, let them go out and talk to the members for PNM, and when election time, people vote for the thing. But you are aligning yourself with a team with people, officers on it, who are some of the same officers who you're saying fell down on the job. And that is your team. Talk about moving forward and trying to make the PNM all-inclusive. The PNM has always been all-inclusive. What you are doing is creating a clique where it is no longer all-inclusive. It's only doing that, not us doing that. And as for reconciliation and talking truth, you need to start to talk the truth. And reconciliation need to start with all of you. Because all they continue to do things that people could question, and you all have not admitted to anything. For instance, the 6 MPs voting for you and yourself to become opposition leader, and 6 didn't know. People voting to bring in Dolly Gaspy as chairman interim and whoever is interim, who are not supposed to vote, or they have not addressed those things. But then you all go back to the whole thing with Dr. Rowley and Tobago and the voting. There was a process. And all were involved in the process, whether some like and some didn't like, all was a part of the process. But in choosing the opposition leader, all was not part of the process. So you can bring the two. And talking again about election call too early, as somebody I read somewhere said, whatever, let me see what the person, like, whatever time the election was called, the PNM was supposed to be ready. What was the function of the General Secretary? I don't know, I'm just asking a question. What was the function? That they weren't ready? So as somebody would have put it really nicely and said, as a candidate for election officer, and as a candidate for election officer said, the PNM has to be ready for any election at short notice. And thus the excuse of an early election by 4 months doesn't make sense. And that's what it is. It was just 4 months again to go. What all they needed in the 4 months to do that could not be done for April the 20th. It's not like it needed, the election was going to be the next year. It was going to be the same year, 4 months down the road. One more ready, you needed to be in the 4 months that it couldn't be ready in the year of the election. So that conversation they keep saying to me, it makes no sense. That's just me. Now we are hearing the General Secretary of the People's National Movement, who when he lost his seat did not resign. That is his prerogative, I guess. I don't know much about that. Is saying basically that is people who put up people to say the things they say about him during the election and all that. I know nothing about that. All I know, Philip Watts was his campaign manager, and then Philip Watts was in UNC. I don't know when it happened, how it happened. I don't know. But to be talking about truth and truth, it's good to tell people they need to talk the truth, and the truthful people want to know that you're truthful and you're talking the truth. Nothing wrong in that. And You all said that the election call too early. And that's one of the reasons all the sprouting for why PNM lost the election. It didn't have anything to do with just that alone. That's not the only factor. Did you all do any analytical or any to get data? Did you all do anything to get data as to why the PNM lost? Going around and just talking to people just so. That is not going to give you the kind of data and working on. You need to look at different areas. The election machinery, who are part of that, what fell down, how the marketing of the election went, how this, that's how you do a comprehensive thing, not just talk to people because people tell you, yeah, it's because they call the election too early, yes. And no, you want other things. What machinery fell down? What didn't work? That if did they call it 4 months when it was quote unquote legally due, would have changed the outcome of the election. Those are things you have to look at, not just simply saying they called too early. Because again, 4 months is not too early. It's not the first time we have had elections called early. So there's no empirical evidence to suggest it's because the election called early why the PNM lost the election. And as somebody put in here, marketing was poor. And that has nothing to do with calling the election early. But plenty of you all stood up on that stage and spoke so passionately about supporting Stuart Richard Young. If all felt that the election too early and all they want Stuart and whatever, the 9 or 10 or 12 and all who was complaining, stay out of the campaign. So they went there with have a heavy spirit and then want to complain now. But what I could tell the opposition leader, what she's doing is not creating confidence in members. Don't let them fool you. Don't let the love for office blind you from what's going on the outside. Don't let who wrong you fool you, you know. If you really want to touch the ground, talk to the people who are saying they don't have confidence in you. Find out from them why they're saying that. It's them you have to talk to. Don't talk to just who like you. Don't opposition leader begging you, you know. Not for me sake, you know. Me a business, you know. I don't want office, you know. Talk to the people who having challenges with you. Talk to the people who are saying they're not confident in you. That's who you have to talk to. Not the only people who sing in their praises. They can protect you and they go ting and they can't tell you. Them is not the people to talk to. Talk to the people on the ground who saying we don't have confidence in you. And find out why and work with them there. That is bringing back. That is bringing people. That is going on the ground. That's talking to the people. You can't just talk to people who support you and about that you're talking to the people on the ground. What about the people who don't support you? You don't want them in the PNM? Or you just say, only one PNM, or they calling it? Let me just read this here. All them wrong, they want something. They want something. Me and say they shouldn't want something. I ain't saying that, no, that's not the point I'm making. But they may not be the best person to tell you what's really going on. So this was May 18, 2014, Daily Express. Keith Rowley comprehensively won the PNM internal elections, receiving 18,070 votes, while his challenger Penelope Beckers-Robinson got 1,314 votes. Beckers-Robinson received, therefore, less than 7% of the vote, with Rowley obtaining 93%. And this margin of victory was replicated throughout, as the Rowley slate made a clean sweep. You hear us say Rowley slate because he had a challenger, so he had a slate. Unlike now, there's no challenger, he is already political leader. What you need a slate for? Okay. Rowley said yesterday he received a text from Beckers-Robinson on the night of the election, congratulating him on his victory. He said he texted back, thanking her for her involvement in the process. With the exception of Arima, Rowley beat Penelope Beckers in every constituency. In Arima, she won by a slim majority of 325 votes against Rowley 314, a difference of 11 votes. Apart from her hometown constituencies, Beckers Robinson received double and sometimes single-digit figures. In Tobago East, for example, she received 9 votes, and in Tobago West, 10 votes. Rowley received over 1,000 votes in both Tobago constituencies, which had the highest voter turnout. In San Fernando East, there was a thought Beckers Robinson might garner support. Rowley received 558 votes against her 81 votes. Addressing party supporters at Balize House on Sunday night, Rowley said he wanted to tell all those who were unsuccessful that they should feel no shame for having offered to serve. You may not be successful on this occasion, but maybe sometime in the future. But what you have indicated is your willingness to participate in the process, he said. Rowley lost in 1996 and triumphed the second time around. And he said he was sure all those who voted had a sense of satisfaction that today they were part of a stream that would soon flow into a river, referencing a speech made by Robinson by former President, the late A.N.R. Robinson. Rowley, Dr. Ronald, Rowley also told those who supported his team to keep their T-shirts as souvenirs, because from now on, it would be Team PNM. Here's a one PNM, Team PNM. He said the good thing about the PNM is its ability to take part in a process like this and to move on to the next step, to what is required. A lot of things are now behind us. The issue of who should lead the PNM is no longer in question, because today you, the members, have resoundingly elected me as your political leader. It is no longer about who is waiting in the wings to launch a challenge. It is no longer about who would raise more money or who would have a good record. That is now behind us. We can focus with laser-like accuracy on the assignment ahead, and that is to win the general election, he said. We are no longer concerned about who is in this camp and who is in that camp. There is one camp, and that camp is PNM, Camp PNM. And I want to say to all those who were concerned that these elections were going to be a divisive event in the PNM, look at what has happened today. Understand that we are stronger for it. I have been in this party for over 3 decades. I have never seen this PNM, I've never seen the PNM as mobilized as it is now outside of an election. I have never seen this party organized as it is now within months of a general election, he said. He recalled that the party delegate voted to end the delegate system in December 2012. He said that on that day, he announced he would make himself available to the party for before just now. All of these. He would make himself available to the party before the next general election. That's how they have it. Cutting short his term and that of all members of the executive by 1 year. One of the one man, one vote system, Rowley said, would be the first step to accept the system. We would be the first to accept that the system is not perfect. But he said there were persons who were never part of the process before turning up at polling stations to vote. The process of democratic voting in the party was outstanding, he said. He added that everybody knew many delegates were doing what they wanted when they went to vote, as opposed to voting in accordance with the instructions of the party group they represented. And he noted that the party had moved the process from a few hundred persons to thousands of persons having the right to freely choose who should lead them. He again thanked all those in the party who worked on the process. He congratulated all those who offered themselves for office. It was Team PNM. It was no one PNM. You can say one, then you must have two, you must have three. It was Team PNM. PNM, that is what it was. Yeah? So, you will have an opportunity to reset what is happening in the People's National Movement with the election June the 22nd. You will have an opportunity with the one man, one vote. That was instituted by Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and the help of Ms. Jennifer Baptiste Primus. Before it was delegate system, where your party group or whatever, I think it was, they tell you who and you go down, so it didn't have much people taking part. A few hundred, right? Now it have thousands. Any member in good financial standing, I don't know if they're going to waive a fee or whatever, but good financial standing, excuse me, find out about that, can vote, right? So you all have an opportunity to reset because the political leader who is unopposed is on a slate with people who she will have admitted officers fell down on the job. She said that. And some of those same officers are part of a slate that she had no right to be a part of because she's going up unopposed. So she is the political leader, but she has a slate. When Dr. Rowley went up in 2014, it's because he had challengers, there was a slate. The last internal election, there were also challengers. There was Karen Inez to Shera, and a slate attached itself to Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and he just let it be. So we had the political leader who is unopposed. She have a team, it's called 1 PNM, and she's saying that officers would have fell down on the job. And some of them officers, as I say, are part of she 1 PNM team. I would like Senator, the Honorable Senator, for some comments to tell us who it is spreading these nasty lies or whatever on him that we saw during the elections. Because if he knows who it is spreading those lies or paying people or whatever, then I think he should take that matter to court for defamation of character. We have reached a place now where we stop saying somebody say and somebody say, especially when you hold office. People like me and no office, I can say, tongue say, it is alleged, whatever. When you hold office, if people are saying things about you that is not truthful and you say you are a man of truth, then let us know and take that person to court for telling lies on you because it would interfere with how people perceive you. Right? That is just some advice to the Honorable Opposition Senator, who is a part of the political leader slate, where she shouldn't have a slate because nobody challenging she. And she said officers fell down on the job, and plenty of them, I tell you, on that slate that she in charge of. So what does that say about her as a leader? You're willing to take back officers who fell down on the job, didn't do the job, to take them back now to do what? I don't know. I want to also say, and this here is where I'm going to have my 2 cents, because when it comes to the Women's League and the history of the Women's League, and history, as a matter of fact, empowering women, who don't know that about me, they don't know me. Empowering women. I like strong women. I don't like weak women. When I say weak, I'm not talking about physically weak, but women who allow themselves to be manipulated and don't have a voice and refuse to have a voice, even if you're advising them, they just turn on you and side with the man who are opposing, the man who stifling them, the man who are oppressing them, they just turn on and they just side with them against you who just trying to help empower. I like women to empower themselves. You're in this situation and this situation not working, there are things you could do to empower yourself. Whether in a personal relationship, work relationship, professional, whatever it is. You can do things if you're in a situation where you feel that you're not empowered. Mean take advantage. I mean that you're not feeling a sense of comfort, insecure, you're not getting anywhere, probably abuse, verbal or whatever it is. I think we are in an enlightened place now where you can do something. You may not have the resources, whatever, but you could do something. You could do something. Don't just sit down in that space, pull me, unless you have some physical challenges or mental challenges or whatever, you could think. You could do something to help empower yourself. I don't like women who just sit down and, oh me, oh my, you see them today, what going on, girl? They tell you one thing. You see them next week, what going on, girl? They tell you the same story. You see them next year, what going on, girl? The same story. Oh, God, the children, and girl, the man, and I walking away, and get the same story. 5 years later, you see them, what going on? Same story. You see me? I can't deal with them thing with people. When I see her next time, tell me, girl, well, you know, I end up getting a little work and thing. It ain't paying much, you know, but I help them with the thing. Next time I see her, girl, you know, I doing a little course and thing, eh? I have to go home to see what the trend and thing. It'll be a little difficult, you know, but that thing, you know, the husband helping me or the neighbor watching the trend for a little hour for me and thing. Say something, empower yourself, not the same damn talk every time you see her. I can't take that at all. So me and I can't take them kind of thing. So when it comes to the Women's League, I understand the importance of the Women's League, the history of the Women's League, of the People's National Movement. It wasn't just a set of women they called Fat Bottom Brigade. They were women who were going out and canvassing. They were women who were educated each other. They were women who were working closely. We have Mrs. Marilyn Gordon, who was one of the youngest member of parliament at the time for Aruka, because she was my member of parliament. I was a child then. And she would have been put in charge of the kitchen cabinet. It became that, where the issues that women face in communities, in the country, with the children and all that. So there were always things that were done. We had the school feeding program, we had book grants, we had school uniform grants, we had a lot of things that helped these mothers and fathers or families that have been challenges. So the PNM has always been, and the Women's League, it came out from that. They were a movement, they were like an army, educating the women, educating on historical things, strong, and always the PNM has always empowered women. So the People's National Movement, now there's an internal election, and they voting for the chairman of the Women's League, because the last chair was Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis. I was called she madam. Thank you for your stewardship. So it's important that somebody is put there who could do the work, carry on the work. I am saying, and I'm saying this bit, this is the first time I'm going to be saying this, and not because I don't like the person, but I'm talking real talk. And if you're talking about that person wanting to be the lady chair of the Women's League, I have some concerns. I'll tell you what. Dr. Nayan Doligaspi is one seeking that position. You'll remember when Kamla Persad-Bissessar told Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis, "What's wrong with you, Camille? I am my proud ancestor in their name. Kamla Trishula Persad-Bissessar. Wrong my name. What you have? You have a slave master named Camille. You Camille." And they talk about wiggy and in bad. Just because Mrs. Regis would have 9 days prior, would have mentioned in talking about Kamla Persad-Bissessar call out she whole government name, because we know all of them government names. We know Patrick Movin Augustus Manning, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson, George Michael Chambers, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, Stuart Richard Young, well, you know that now? Camille, I think is Mary, if I'm not mistaken, Robinson Regis. We know the names. We never know Kamla's name is Shushila too, so she called her Kamla Shushila Pasabisa, so that's all she did. 9 days later, the then opposition leader, who is now prime minister, took offense to it and she went off with slave master name. And we know as people of African descent, what that means when they say we are the slave master name, because the slave master most time will call you boy, Negro, and the other N word. So we took offense, and Mr. Wendell Evans, the organizer, say no to hate speech. And he always got a lot of support from women, especially PNM women. Men were out there also. We went out and we protested in front of the parliament and had a petition for all members of parliament to sign saying that they are against hate speech. I was standing across the road to Woodford Square, and the members of parliament and government ministers, MPs were walking in. One of them I saw walking is Dr. Nyan Dolly Gaspi. She was the Minister of Education, and I ran across the road, and I ended up on the compound of the Red House, and I said, "Good afternoon, Minister, we think," and just walked away. I felt embarrassed. I went back across the road. One person I call, and the time I could call his name, one person I tell. I said, "Mr. Chance." I went across the, as I see Dr. Gaspi thing to, ask her before I could use, and she shut me down and she just walked off. He said, "What?" I said, "Not me, not Papa." I said, "So them let's get on." And I have watched her behavior since then. She's very haughty, guys. My opinion, not friendly, very haughty. Feel she better than people. Does look down at you. She cold. I want to talk about Dr. Rowley. He's a bully and he arrogant. Well, I tell you now that in my opinion, very, very unfriendly, very cold. That Dr. Nyan Dolly Gaspi. Anyone only put up there if I lying? Put up there Nyan Gaspi Dolly. My mistake, Miss Ophelia. Put up if I lying. Anyone only put up if only never hear people say she cold. She feels she better than people. All she got to do is dress and makeup. Well dressed, and she does look good. Makeup always slamming, hairstyle slamming. I ain't saying no, the lady does look good. But me, the thought of her being the lady chair of the Women's League, I shudder. I telling people here, don't vote for her. Whatever option it have, vote for them option. One position I tell all them. They could go and say, I tell she that. And it's because of her coldness. It's the way she does talk to people, the way she does treat people. And I want all to ask her, or ask people who knew. God rest her soul, Mrs. Lisa, what was her name again? Morris Julian, the MP for where Dominic win. Ask anybody. I ask him, he says it's true or not true. Ask anybody how she said treat that minister in the Ministry of Education. Ask anybody. I say one person I tell all you not to vote for because of the fact of the Women's League. Is the Women's League I'm concerned about is Dr. Gaspi Dolly. And there's no animosity, no hate or nothing. I have nothing against the doctor. She worked hard, she qualified for she position, she deserves the doctor, she does dress, she looks good, she outfit always slamming. I have no problem with that. I'm talking about being the chair of the Women's League. Not the best fit. Based on how she treated with me, how she treated with other people who come back and say the same thing that I say. You can't want to deal with women and Women's League that have that rich history, and I heard us talk to some people who you must feel you're better than them because how they must dress or how they just talk with the green verbs. I tell you all that. So as I end, I have no business if a brother come and insult me because he's not doing her any favors by coming to insult me. All he's doing is putting more light on her. Because me and talk she personal business. I don't know she personal business. I'm not interested in that. My conversation had to do with the fact that she's vying for the position of Lady Vice Chair of the Women's League. And I'm saying based on her history, I don't think she's the best person to put there. I am afraid that the Women's League will come to nothing. It will just be tea party and dress up nice and sit down and talk I don't know what. And the Women's League is more than that. That's what I say. So anybody can go and tell she. But tell she straight what I say. I have nothing against her. That interaction I talk about, one person I know for sure could bear witness is that Mr. Neville Chance. Because when I come back across, he asked me, wait just happened, what she said? Because I just went 2 minutes, I come back across. Roger Monroe would have signed that. And I can't remember some others. Even Khadija Amin come out, she can, and she still talk with me and thing, wherever, and she was opposition, she talk with me and thing, and I wanted to tell she, oh God, well, fix the clothes, they come out, the can, or you twist up, how the clothes hang up, I said, Jennifer, don't say nothing. The one I take it as an insult, when I mean, and I go to because she going in, that's Khadija Amin, how she sit down in the car, the top pull up so, the belt hang down so, and it was just a whole mess. And I said, look, leave she, yes, Papa, she won with that. I remember that day very clearly. I remember her also at the PNM Women's League up in Mount Lambert in the center, where Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis had to get up on the bunk where she just talked about the PNM has to start to empower its women and all them kind of thing. And Miss Camille Robinson Regis had to be a paraphrase and I basically tell her the PNM has always empowered women. And call all the women that have been empowered, whatever. And I tell all them when they break for refreshments, I go to get my vehicle that come to meet me. When I come down the stairs, Dr. Nayan Gatsby Dolly stand up in a little corner by herself and everybody passing, she's straight. And when I see she stand like a pull me one, I go and say, Minister, I said, Minister Gatsby, you all right, just here? I said, listen, there's a program that you have in the ministry there where you bring back social workers and things. I said, that is a real good thing. And I honestly meant it. And she said, okay, I think nothing. She might remember, but me don't talk about it in my mouth. And then she jumps now and talk about, oh, it's PNM grandmother and mother and father who children fighting in the school. Only give me a break, yes? So let me just read this to remind all you about the PNM. This was at the 65th anniversary of the PNM, and somebody said, on January the 15th, 1956, I'm reading it again, so you understand where the PNM, what the PNM was created for. It wasn't created for no one PNM and no black man party. On January 15, 1956, we convened the inaugural conference of the PNM. The conference approved the People's Charter, the name we give to our fundamental principles. This is what we said. We are not another of the transitory and artificial combinations to which we have grown accustomed in election years, or another bandwagon of dissidents and disappointed politicians, each out merely to get a seat in the legislature. We stand or fall by our own program, a comprehensive social security program for the general welfare of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago and their families. Nor are we an ordinary party in the accepted narrow sense of the word. We are rather a rally, a convention of all and for all, a mobilization of all the forces in the community, cutting across race, religion, class, and color, with emphasis on united action by all of the people in the common cause, and that is at page 144, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This may be inward hunger, I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on that. They could quote me on what I just read. This is the People's Charter. This was the party's constitution, read out to a mammoth audience of several thousands in the University of Woodford Square on the night of Tuesday, January 24th, 1956 at 8 p.m. We took the audience by storm. There had never been anything like it in Trinidad. Page 148 from Inward Hunger. So I guess that may have been also included in the book Inward Hunger. And you know what I'm looking at? Back in them days, we didn't have social media, we didn't have that, and you know they were recording the PNM history. What is being recorded now? Or are they teaching people in the Women's League, Youth League, constituency level, party group level about this? Do they have copies of Inward Hunger that people could buy or they could donate and sell for the young ones to read? What are they doing? Let me see all who here. Kim, Helen, Esther, Diana, Charmaine, Andrew, Elizabeth, Glennis, Constance, Merlin, Marjorie, Debs, Bernadette, Gretel, Dr. Lloyd Straker, Ruthven, Stephen, Dwight York. I'm going to be very vain here. If it's Captain, if it's Coach Dwight York, I'm so honored. Even if it isn't, I'm still honored, right? With who here, but you know what I mean. And you all don't give up to these soca warriors. I know that defeat was bad. Excuse me. But you all have to find it in yourself and get over what is blocking all this psychologically. There seems to be a psychological block from winning to losing big and that, and all you have to get over that. That's something no coach can do for all you know. Whatever blocking all this psychologically, whatever fears you all have, you all need to sit down and read the poem by Marianne Williamson, Your Deepest Fear, Our Deepest Fear. You need to read that and ask yourself, what is your deepest fear? Get over that shit. All you have a blasted good coach. All you have the equipment. All you have the management staff. All you have the technical staff. All you have the dietitian staff. All you have the best this, the best that. Come get over all this shit, man. Whoever blocking all their head, get it out. All they're just as good as any other team in the world, boy. Come now, man. Rhonda, Cynthia, Eric, Carol, Tessa, Diamond, Denise, Joy, Anne-Marie, Kelvin, Melka, Rosalind, Glennis, Allison, Steve, Rick, Elsie, Carlton, Balti, Lorna, Kerwin, Anne, Donna, Ophelia, Hadara, Caroline, Anton, Charles, Chris, my whole family from Pune, Emmeline, and Tintin Pan. I want to tell you all thank you so much. Thank you so much for this staying locked on tuning to Larry Talk meeting. I continue to say, all those from the 1 PNM who have problem with what we from the team PNM for all. We from the PNM for all. We're not part of 2 PNM, 3 PNM, 4 PNM, 5 PNM. We are part of the PNM. So all from the 1 PNM who have problem with the people from Team PNM and from the PNM. Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, PNM, that had a people's charter. Or they have problems with it because we're talking out. This is the age where the talking out come in. If all they getting horrors with it, it's because all they know they're doing the wrong things. And I want to tell the opposition leader, political leader again, don't just take chain up talk from your 1 PNM and make you feel everything going right. It is not. Or they're not getting no new members. Don't let them fool you with that. They're not getting no new members. Come out and talk to the people who does not believe in your leadership and who are critical of your leadership. Is them you have to talk to. Don't talk to who don't love you for whatever reason. Come out and talk to the people. And then you'll be able to conciliate with them and get an idea why they don't have confidence in you. And encourage them by whatever conversation you have with them to show them that you're capable. In the absence of that, they will continue because they're not giving them a space. And the same Dr. Rowley, all they want to say, rush to keep an election when it is only 4 months early and all they should have been ready no matter what. All they're rushing to keep. What are Russians to keep the internal election for when it is due sometime down September? Everything all they accuse Dr. Rowley are doing, all they're doing it. All they accuse him of bullying and arrogance, that is what they're doing people on Facebook now. And that the arrogance all they're showing to people. No. Or let's say call the election to a level they lost, that is what they do right now with the internal election. Why don't they call it early? I just asking a question. So people all have an opportunity to start to reset the PNM, not no one PNM, the PNM, team PNM. All have opportunity June the 22nd. Go out and vote wisely. Don't vote for no team. Vote for the people who all they believe could do the work. But one of the people, I say from now, because the political leader said, officers, many of the officers of the PNM would have failed. And if only vote for Dr. Dolly Gaspy, they're only failing the Women's League. That much I will tell all you. Only vote whoever, only that's all the business. But you see, for the Women's League, that is not the person to vote for. Again, or they have all opportunity to help to start to reset the PNM, because plenty of the people who the political leaders say fail the PNM, they're on she slate. All that takes sense out of nonsense. People, I love you all. See you all on Wednesday. God's gonna come with something fresh, something new. This is the girl Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. If you want to get 4 minutes, Miss Jennifer Frederick, another edition of the Told Thing. And let me tell you something. Whoever wants to go and say I was bad talking Dr. Nayan Gaspy Dolly, or they're free to do that. She can always watch back my video if she chooses to and see what I'm talking about. And if she take offense there, it means to say she has problems. Because nothing I say here is offensive. I told the truth with my interactions with her on the 2 occasions. And just watching she on the whole. Very, very standoffish person. Very, very cold. I may be wrong. I don't know her like that. But you're a member of parliament, you're a minister of government and all that. And there's the people, the same people, always want to vote for her. All the people who just vote for her, they didn't go convent, they didn't go bishop, they didn't go St. Francois, they had degree. Some of them in her past, whoever, ordinary women. And some of them ordinary women who bright as hell with common sense and street sense is a part of the Women's League. What could you bring to the Women's League? I just asking. So people, choose wisely. I love all you. I'm gone. Bye.